This is shocking, not because it's loud, not because it's fast, but because it doesn't try to be either. The 2026 Yamaha Star Streaker doesn't ask for attention. It takes control of the silence. What you're about to hear isn't hype. It isn't marketing. It's a warning. Some motorcycles chase speed. Some chase noise. This one chases neither, and that's exactly why it's dangerous. Welcome to Ride Radar *. The moment you hear about the 2026 Yamaha Star Streaker, something feels different, and that feeling is exactly what this machine is built for. This is not a motorcycle made to shout, not a bike designed to beg for attention, and definitely not something created for everyone. The Star Streaker exists in its own lane, calm, heavy, and intimidating in a way that doesn't need explanation. On Ride Radar, we talk about machines that change the mood of the road, and this one does that before it even moves. It doesn't try to impress you in the first second. It waits, and that waiting is what makes it dangerous. There is a quiet confidence in the way the 2026 Yamaha Star Streaker presents itself, and that confidence feels expensive. Not expensive in a flashy way, but expensive like something that was never meant to be mass-approved. This bike feels like it was designed for riders who already know who they are and don't need a machine to prove it. When you sit on it, there's no excitement panic, no nervous energy. There is only control, and control is the most underrated form of power on the road. This kind of shock doesn't come from speed numbers or loud exhausts. It comes from realization. The realization that something this quiet can feel this heavy, this serious, and this controlled. The 2026 Yamaha Star Streaker gives you that feeling the moment you think you understand it, and then immediately proves you wrong. It doesn't rush to show its strength, it waits until you stop expecting it. And that delay is what makes it unsettling in the best possible way. There is a dangerous calm built into this machine, a calm that feels intentional and calculated. While other motorcycles react emotionally to the road, the Star Streaker stays composed, almost cold. You feel like the bike already knows what's going to happen before you do, and that creates a strange mix of trust and fear. This is the kind of behavior we associate with machines that are built to last, not just to impress for a moment. The shock continues when you realize how much restraint this motorcycle has. It never feels like it's trying to escape your control. Yet you always feel that there's far more power waiting beneath the surface. That hidden strength changes how you ride. You stop being aggressive, you stop forcing speed, and you start letting the bike decide the rhythm. That shift in mindset is rare, and it's what separates this machine from the rest. What makes the Star Streaker special is how it feels expensive without trying to look expensive. Nothing about it screams luxury, yet everything about it feels premium. The weight, the balance, the feedback through the controls all suggest that this machine was designed with intention, not compromise. This is the type of motorcycle that doesn't lower itself to trends, and that refusal to chase approval is part of its identity. By the time you spend real time with the 2026 Yamaha Star Streaker, the shock turns into respect. You realize this bike isn't built for adrenaline addicts or attention seekers. It's built for riders who understand patience, precision, and control. On Ride Radar, we see this as the highest form of performance because true danger doesn't come from chaos. It comes from confidence. What makes the Star Streaker shocking isn't speed alone, because plenty of bikes are fast. What shocks you is how calm it stays while doing everything. The throttle response doesn't jump, it doesn't scare you, it simply responds with intention. And then suddenly, without drama, without warning, you realize how quickly the world behind you has disappeared. This is the kind of acceleration that doesn't scream. It erases distance. On Ride Radar, we call this silent domination. The engine character of the 2026 Star Streaker feels like it was tuned for authority rather than entertainment. It doesn't rev like it's asking for applause, and it doesn't sound like it wants to race every red light. Instead, it delivers power in a smooth, heavy wave that feels almost unsettling. You feel it more in your chest than in your ears. This is the type of machine that makes other riders look twice. Not because it's loud, but because it feels serious. There's something dangerous about a motorcycle that doesn't get emotional. The Star Streaker doesn't panic under pressure. And it doesn't react aggressively to bad roads, sudden traffic, or long stretches of highway. It stays planted, stable, and focused, like it's already calculated everything before you even notice the problem. That kind of behavior builds trust, and trust on a powerful machine is what separates skilled riding from reckless riding. The riding position reinforces that mindset. You don't feel like you're sitting on top of the bike. You feel like you're part of it. Everything feels low, grounded, and intentional. Your hands fall naturally into place, your legs feel secure, and your posture encourages patience instead of speed addiction. The Star Streaker teaches you to slow your thoughts even when the bike itself is capable of moving fast. And that contrast is what makes it special. This motorcycle feels expensive in the way everything interacts with you. The controls feel solid. The response feels measured, and nothing feels rushed or cheaply tuned. There's a sense that Yamaha didn't rush this bike to market just to compete. It feels like something that took time, something that was tested not just for performance but for personality. On Ride Radar, we value machines that feel complete, and the Star Streaker absolutely does. Danger with this bike doesn't come from instability, it comes from confidence. When a machine feels this composed, it encourages you to push further without realizing it. You don't notice how fast you're going because everything feels so controlled. That's the kind of danger experienced riders understand and respect. This bike rewards discipline and punishes ego, and that balance is what gives it character. The 2026 Yamaha Star Streaker doesn't feel like a trend, and that's important. Trends age quickly, but this bike feels like it's already above that cycle. 5 or 10 years from now, it won't feel outdated. It will feel intentional. The design, the power delivery, and the overall presence suggest longevity, not hype. That's the kind of motorcycle that earns a loyal following rather than viral attention. On long American highways, this machine feels completely at home. It doesn't rush miles, it consumes them. The engine stays relaxed, the ride stays stable, and your mind stays focused instead of fatigued. This is a bike that understands distance, and it treats long rides as its natural environment. Ride Radar has tested many machines built for speed, but few feel this comfortable owning the road without fighting it. This bike is not friendly, and that's not a weakness. It doesn't try to make everyone comfortable, and it doesn't adapt itself to beginners. The Star Streaker expects respect, awareness, and patience. If you bring those qualities, it gives you a ride that feels powerful without chaos. If you don't, it reminds you very quickly that confidence without skill is meaningless. What truly separates the Star Streaker from others is how it changes the rider's behavior. You ride smoother, you think further ahead, and you stop chasing unnecessary risks. The machine doesn't encourage stupidity. It encourages precision. And that kind of influence is rare in a world full of motorcycles designed to excite first and educate later. There's also something deeply personal about riding a bike like this. It doesn't attract crowds or beg for validation, and that makes ownership feel private. You're not riding it for likes, photos, or reactions. You're riding it because it feels right. On Ride Radar, we believe the best machines are the ones that connect with the rider, not the audience. And this bike understands that philosophy perfectly. There is something unsettling about how quickly the Star Streaker makes everything else feel unnecessary. Speed, noise, and attention suddenly feel like cheap shortcuts when you're riding something this composed. The bike doesn't compete with the road, it absorbs it, and that absorption creates a sense of dominance that's hard to explain unless you experience it. This is the kind of shock that stays with you after the ride is over. The danger of this motorcycle lies in how naturally it builds confidence. It doesn't scare you into respect. It earns it slowly. Every mile feels smoother than expected, every response feels more precise than necessary, and that precision encourages you to trust it completely. That trust is powerful, and power like that demands maturity from the rider. Without it, the Star Streaker doesn't forgive mistakes easily. As time goes on, you realize this bike isn't trying to be remembered as the fastest or the loudest. It's trying to be remembered as the one in the end. The Star Streaker isn't about noise, numbers, or competition. It's about presence, control, and confidence. It's about a machine that knows exactly what it is and refuses to be anything else. This is Ride Radar, and this is the kind of motorcycle that doesn't just ride on the road. It changes how the road feels beneath you.